Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty, here at you again with this week's episode. So, if you haven't followed me, my name is Dustin. I'm autistic. I'm near 40 years old, and I've been doing this autism thing for about 25 years. But ultimately, even more as I've been living. And I've been writing blogs, vlogs, everything under the Dustin's Dynasty platform for about 5 years now. And we may have a big bash here in a couple of weeks as we get to 350. So be prepared for that. But other than that, I would say that, things are going pretty well this week, and it's been a pretty amazing week. Been busy, but otherwise been pretty amazing. If you haven't followed me already, you know my story. I've I've come through some of the early stuff, but then I also have been living independently for about 6 years now, I believe. It's six going on seven. And I have been at a supported job for about 15 years. And so just over 15 years, actually, a couple months ago. And what I do every week, usually at the end of the week, is I share a little bit about my story. And today, story comes as no surprise. If you have followed me last week, we were talking about mental health as it's Mental Health Month. And this week, we're going to continue that discussion in some way, but we're going to talk about it more in the retrospect of taking care of your mental health and being autistic while understanding the norms of the world, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and having a grasp of understanding the social norms of life, because the more so the importance of understanding them and realizing that there's consequences in the world that we live in today, in the outside world. Often we think of ourselves as autistic people as being in our own little worlds, and things have to go the way they have to go. I've met many autistic people, and again, like they've always stressed, there is no two autistic people that are alike in many ways, but in some ways we're somewhat similar to the degree of that we are very regimented in nature and have very ritualistic routines at times that can sometimes hinder how one reacts in the outside world. Or we're so oversensitive to stimuli that the slightest change or the slightest feeling in any of the eight senses, yes, there are eight. If you look back on my post, you will on my Facebook, you will see that, and I will leave all my socials in the description on my video as well as at the end of this video, so on a link tree, so you can be aware of what we're talking about when we in retrospect to this in more detail. I've been writing the last few weeks on writing for the next month or so and preparing for blog post. I try to write ahead as because my life is very busy and hectic, and while that it's not hectic in a nature, but it has changed over the last few weeks due to various events in my family where I'm starting the process of becoming untethered and more independent as an autistic person. More so to the fact that I'm now understanding that I have to be responsible for my own actions and how I conduct myself in the outside world, whether I'm autistic or not. And while autistic, it is appropriate to share you're autistic in many situations, but not everybody understands that. While we in the autistic community often coach presume competence. Not there are several in this world who do not. And they come across a situation that may produce energy with both within yourself as the autistic person, or whether it be in them themselves. And oftentimes we're trying to match the energy in the room or in the situation, if you will. And when we do that, it just only makes things worse. I personally have been through that situation about a year ago, and that's when it eventually started to or 2 years ago, I do apologize. And it snowballed eventually down the road as life went on into an ultimate demise. But ultimately, it was because I was not taking care of my mental health or my physical well-being in the way I should have. Looking back on that and starting to let go of those pieces while understanding the importance of and knowing how important it is to always take care of your mental health. Because when we go into the outside world, we don't know what's going to approach us as we travel in the outside world. A vehicle could break down, you know, more people could come into our environment than what we expected. There are many, many, many scenarios in this world where things just don't they happen. And one teacher I had in high school quoted it as stuff happens, and stuff happens every day. And when I used to be more close and intimate with other individuals, I would tell them, stuff happens. You can't, everything can't happen the way that you want it to happen. And it took me a long time growing up and maturing into the adult that I am today to learn that. It also took me a long time to learn that I do not have control over others and their actions or anything of that nature. So that, things don't become overwhelming or overstimulated, and we result into actions like a meltdown or reacting negatively towards others. I myself, because I was not taking care of my mental health for over the last till the beginning of this year, over the past 6 or so years, realized that and now realize that 99% of my problems that I had when I was not taking care of my mental health and was having meltdowns in public, was having reactions with people, was trying to match the energy in the room. That was all the culprit of all of that was two things mainly. One was, of course, not taking care of my mental health in the way that I needed to, and the other was not shielding myself from the mental health, the not the mental health, excuse me, the physical health, the diet needs that I have, and understanding that there is a necessity to my diet. And while it may not be something that I've totally agreed to, I've learned to live with it and not against it as time has rolled on. It means limiting drinks. It means, you know, um, being mindful of what I'm consuming so that my sugar is not super high at a super high level so that I am reacting in the way that I once did. Because because doing so can make things like mental health medicines ineffective. And I had to learn that the hard way. I had to learn that through research and reading and basically getting emails in my inbox every day of what I need to know about my conditions and what things that were expected of me. My parents have done well. They have been great teachers. I cannot deny that 100%. We may have seen many things in many different ways. We may have had many disagreements over the past 6 years before I started to get my life under control. But one thing ultimately that comes to an understanding that is that they have prepared me as much as they can for this world and will continue to prepare me, even though I feel that I am personally prepared. It never hurts to have a little reminder or a prompt once in a while from your loving parents who still love me, I am assured. Um, Without a doubt, that is a reality. And I cannot ever thank them enough for the things that they have done to prepare me for living in this world and sending me to the services that I needed to go, even on days when I did not want to go, to prepare me for for this world and get me the skills, the knowledge, the street smarts, the how to walk in a street, but also in the sense of this vlog, understanding the reality is you only get so many chances in life, and you have to have a reality check with yourself. And when you're out there in the real world, when there's nobody to advocate for you in the way that you have the way to do it, you have to learn to be your best advocate and know how to advocate for yourself, if need be. But you also have to know how to conduct yourself in public. And granted, not everyone who is autistic perform presents themselves in the same way. But I have worked very hard over the past over 2 decades that I have since I have been diagnosed to learn about the ways of the world. And I continue to learn about the ways of the world. We are fortunate from the time since the time I was diagnosed over 2 decades ago to have as many resources and collaboratives and groups that we have advocating for autistic individuals along with families and preparing ourselves for the world outside by providing social stories and other related resources that make us ready for the outside world. Now, granted, things are not always perfect. They never will be. We all have bad days. I would like to say that I had a totally perfect week. One day I was a little agitated, but we picked ourselves up. We did what we needed to do, and we moved on from it. Sometimes it's those things. They just happen the way they do. I've taken care of myself very well, and I'm very proud of the accomplishments I've made in the past few weeks alone, since, and in the year that it has taken to get to this point. And understanding the changing situation and the changing dynamic that has happened in my family to get to this place. And we are only at this place, and we are working in so many more areas. But for today, we're talking about, the reality of the outside world, because it is I that will often have to go into the outside world and navigate the woes of life. And the woes of life can have many sensory palate issues of any sense. It can have any kind of reaction by another person or even yourself, or you can run to anybody in your path that can cause, any kind of, reactive state or meltdown. But by being prepared how to navigate that world in your way, while understanding of the importance of how to properly manage your emotions, keep your emotions in check, and learn how to advocate for yourself with those skills that have been taught to me over the many years that my parents have been raising me, and as I near the close of my fourth decade living in this world, it is knowing that I feel that I am ready, and I probably will learn more as life goes on. But I'm very fortunate for the family that I have and everybody else who has helped me get this far in my life. And it seems unnatural, but in a way, it's just how it is. And I've worked my way to get here, but I know there's realities in the world now that I must understand and realize that things like taking your medicine is crucial, and so is take making sure you go to bed every night, and that you're taking care of everything about you as a human being, and that you're taking care of yourself, and that you're using the skills that you need to learn. It has been through multiple learning abilities, platforms, programs, services, and resources that I have been able to get to where I am. And the thing I cannot stress enough among families of autistic people, or those who are coming of age that are listening to this, or families that have children or raising family members that are coming of age of this, is to never look into those resources. Use those resources. Use every tool at your disposal for what you need, and for your autistic individual to have what they need to live and survive in this world, in a safe, cohesive way. Work towards independence. It may not be possible in everyone, and I do understand that. But as much independence should be attempted to be attained in the most possible way that is safe for them. Now, not everybody, again, like I said, not everybody's, going to be at the level, and I hate using that word level at the range that I'm at, but it's just every little thing counts. It's like, I saw how another blogger had their child use the restroom, on their own. That alone is an understatement of themselves. Sometimes it's things, just the little things. And I always say that sometimes it's the little things. And I think I got that from my song that I listen to every night on the way home when I'm unwinding and getting in those last moments to get to my house. But I think ultimately it is sometimes the little things. And that is really what keeps me going and what keeps me rolling sometimes. Sometimes you do have to look at those little things that make all the difference in the day, that make it go great, or that one successful thing that say, hey, you did good today. And eventually things add up and that you get better at them. And what you will have will happen in due time. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself grace, and most of all, be kind to yourself in the process. Take care of your mental health. Make it a priority. Make it just as important as your physical health. Take care of you. Put yourself a first priority, along with your mental and physical well-being, and realize that there are dangers in this world, and be prepared for each and every one of them. Know how to react to situations as much as you can, and know that know your best and know that you have the best skills. You have to let everybody live with that. And as I'm starting the process of untethering from my family, while I still have the supports that I need, it's still a process. And eventually it does get better. I had one of the best weekends last weekend. I don't know if you could tell because of my candor last weekend, but I had one of the best weekends that I had in a very long time because I had supports that I could talk to that were natural in nature. And I blogged and I took care of my platforms and I kept busy most of the weekend while the Kentucky Derby was on. That was nice too. But ultimately, it was taking care of myself, making my mental health and my physical health and my social pragmatics a priority in my life. And by doing that, it made it a really good weekend. Although where I had mostly 90% of the time to myself in my own space. So it can be done. And in a world where I thought it would never be a smooth sailing weekend, it would always be a weekend of some kind of something that wouldn't go well and wouldn't be the best way it could be. Eventually, I learned that it does get better and we have to be patient with ourselves. Like I said, give ourselves grace, be kind to ourselves, and always remember that you matter, you are loved, you are enough, and the next day is always looking for you, and never, ever, ever give up. So, just take those words this weekend. I hope your weekend is nice. We're going to have wonderful weather here in Pennsylvania and for the next 3 days, I believe. So, try to get outside, try to do something, try to get some of that outdoor sun. Don't forget to take care of those mothers on Mother's Day if you have them, are blessed to have them, or the mother-like figures. We appreciate all of them, and sometimes we have to be thankful for them too, because they are the ones who lead us the way that we need to be led in life, regardless of who we are in our relationship or role to them. It is, how we are managing ourselves as human beings, and those people like our mothers or our mother figures who have taught us how to live in this world that is ever so changing and maybe diverse for some like us to make sure that we be our best selves. So thank you for listening. If you haven't liked this blog or this channel, be sure to do that. You can give a like and a subscribe. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Pinterest. That handle is Dustin's Dynasty. I'm on the web. That web address is www.dustinsdynastyusa.com. And lastly, I have a link tree where you can find links to all my socials and podcasts. That handle under Linktree is Dustin's Dynasty. Again, let's have a great weekend, folks. I know I'm going to strive for another great weekend. Learn to take time for yourself, take care of yourself, and enjoy that weather out there. Let's have a good weekend, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.